Hi, I'm a soft skill trainer from the Department of Career Planning and Development, Chandigarh University. Today, we are going to discuss about group interviews and what is the requirement of group interviews, what is assessed in a group interview, and what are the tips that we should follow to sail through in a group interview. So first of all, let's understand what the group interview is. In a group interview, we have different applicants and there can be one or more than one interviewers. Okay, so let's try to understand it in an elaborated way. So group interview is basically a panel interview also. You can term it as a panel interview wherein we are being asked questions by different interviewers, and it depends whether the interviewee is one in number or there are more interviewees. So it is basically a intermediate form of job interview that we give generally, and it's because we have to impress not one person but everybody who is sitting inside that room. So it's a bit, I should say, difficult from the parameter of a candidate who is basically facing an interview. So the key to success is knowing what you can expect from a group interview. You should know what kind of questions you can get and how you have to get ready to face any group interview. So group interviews are sometimes used by admission committees when interviewing an education program candidate, or we can even the companies are using group interviews to screen job candidates, which will be looked at in the presentation in a better way. So what are the different types of group interviews? We have two different types of group interviews. One is candidate group interview and the other one is panel group interview. So if we talk about candidate group interview, herein we have different number of candidates and the interviewee is only one, right? So what we are doing is applicants will be applying for the same position, and during the interview, the interviewer might check about your listening skills, your collaborative skills, and you may be given some case study or something, some problem for which you have to find a solution together. That can be one of the ways of assessing a candidate. While the other one is panel group interview, which is mostly seen in these days, that people go for panel interviews wherein there are more than one interviewer and we have more than one applicant as well. So there's a mix of where the question and answer round goes for in an interview. So why companies use the group interviews? So an increasing number of companies are using group interviews to screen job applicants. This could be a desire to reduce the turnover and the fact that the teamwork is most crucial in these days. So to check the teamwork between the different applicants also, the companies might think of going for a group interview. But the easiest explanation is that when more than one interviewer is assessing a candidate, it's always going to be a better decision. So because if one interviewer fails to witness or fails to, comprehend how what kind of a candidate is sitting in front of them, the other one will definitely take into account. So yes, it is going to be a better decision making when we go for group interviews. So in a group interview, each interviewer will likely look at things differently and bring different questions to the table. So for example, we have seen in mock interviews as well when we conduct it in our university, that the students are coming, there are two or even three people taking the interview from different perspectives. One might be checking your technical skills, the other one might be checking your behavior, and the third one might be from HR. So different types of questions are going to be asked to a same candidate to check how he can fit in an organization on different parameters. So that's why the companies can go for group interviews. What will you be assessed on? Now, this is very important that you should know what are the parameters on which you will be judged, right? So, basically, the parameters of any interview remain the same. We have to see how competent the candidate is and how well he fits in the organization. But there are few points that we can focus on while we're talking about group interviews. So, specific things group interviewers may scrutinize. The first is your appearance, your attire, your hygiene, anything else that relates to your physical form will be judged. If you wear too much of makeup or cologne, at least one of the interviewers will take notice. If you've got to put on deodorant or match your socks, definitely one of the other interviewers is going to notice this as well. So dress well for the interview, take your time and give your best shot and look perfect formal attire and look confident and look presentable when it comes to your attire, your appearance. Next is your presentation skills. Interviews will be paying special attention to how you present yourself. Do you slouch or fidget? Do you make eye contact when you converse? Do you remember to shake hands with everyone in the room? Beware of your body language. What it says about you during an interview is what is going to make an everlasting impact on the interviewer. So always remember that your body language speaks a lot about you. So pay attention on the presentation skills, how you are presenting yourself before a number of interviewers. Next is your communication skills. No matter what type of job you are applying for, you will need to be able to communicate well. Special skills that group interviews look for is the ability to listen. Because you're in a group, you must be an active listener. Follow instructions and get your ideas across. Whatever is in your mind, how you are putting your ideas across is again a skill. And so you need to work on that skill as well. Next is your interest level. From the time the interview starts till it ends, interviewer will be trying to assess how interested you are in the job you are applying for. Is it just for the sake of applying, or you really are interested in joining the company? If you seem bored, disengaged during the interview, you will probably be passed by for someone else. So definitely, you have to show your keen interest to be selected for that company. You have to give your best shot. Next is group interview tips. So what would be the tips for group interview to ace the interview? So preparation, definitely. Whenever you have to go for something, if you really want to conquer it, you have to prepare. And for group interviews, there might be a bit, I will be discussing in detail what are the points where you have to prepare well. So let's start with the first tip. Greet all of your interviewers individually. So this is very important that when you are entering a room and you are greeting, it's not that you are greeting only the one person who is sitting just straight to the door. You must pay complete and full attention to the other interviewers as well who are sitting across. Make eye contact and say hello, and if possible, if they are giving their hands for a handshake, so please go for a firm handshake. Don't focus on any one individual. So when you're answering the question, you might be asked the question by one interviewer, but when you're answering the question, you need to look at every interviewer and pay complete attention as if you are trying to convince them, as if you are talking to them, conversing with them. So that gives them the feel that okay, you are engaging everybody, right? Don't show surprise or annoyance once you're facing a group interview. It happens that generally we are not in a habit of facing a group interview. So it might happen or it might come on your face. So we should be very smart and we should just be able to hide such expressions, such surprises, and we should be ready mentally that okay, any kind of interview can be held and I need to be very positive and confident while giving my interview. Next is prepare for the group interview by making a list of interview questions that you may be asked and practice well beforehand. So this is something that you need to do anytime you're going to face any kind of interview. You must write the frequently asked questions in your, somewhere in your notes and try to search for good answers and practice them well, because definitely you will be getting questions from that. Because mostly they are checking your mindset, they are checking your personality, they are checking the way you are, they are checking your fitness for the company. So all the questions that are there in the frequently asked list will definitely be asked in one way or the other. If not all, but majorly you will get such questions. If you are interested, if you are interviewed with other candidates, it's better to lead them than to follow them. So if there are more than one candidates whom the interviewers are interviewing and you are given maybe some situation where you have to discuss or give your points through, you must try to take a lead. Right? Interviewers may not remember if you blend into the background. So you have to stand out from the crowd, from the rest, right? Don't hog the conversation either, or you may not come across a team player, so you cannot dominate it as well. So you should be very assertive and try to be the first one to put your points across. Next is skills you will be expected to demonstrate during group interview exercises includes leadership skills, your ability to handle stress and pressure, teamwork skills, and how well you take and give criticism. It's very important. You might be criticized, it might be said that you're wrong, but then how to handle this? Even if you know that you're right, even then how you need to handle it, how your expressions should be. These are all points you need to take care of. You need to practice well beforehand before you are going to appear for an interview. Be sure to keep this in mind when you complete all the exercises. And before leaving, before the completion, don't forget to thank everybody. Thank everyone who interviewed you and remember the names and titles of each of them, because you will be sending them a written thank you note afterwards. So it's always good if you remember the name and designation of the person whom you are talking to. So it always gives them a special feel that yes, this person is really interested, and that's why he is remembering each one of us. So these are a few tips which you might exercise when you are going to face a group interview. And definitely, if you're going to, inculcate all these points in you and prepare the way we have just discussed, it's definitely going to help you uh, be the one who is the chosen one. So all the very best and give your best.